Part 83. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 821. After hearing these words, Xiaoxian nodded secretly. He also had to admit that Wu Bingqing was indeed a very smart woman. At this time, you can accurately find his needs, and you can also give him an almost irresistible reason to refuse some things. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Tell me, what do you need from me? Xiaoxian was helpless. He found that since he came to Qinghua Academy, the people he met were very smart, from Long Ruoxiu before to Wu Bingqing now. Speaking of which, they are all considered the darling girls in the family. Being able to exist in this academy is all based on one's own strength. But now, Wu Bingqing's strength is better than Long Ruoxiu, and she can understand people's hearts better. This is extremely powerful. I want you to help me kill Qinglong, Wu Bingqing said word by word. What? This, killing him? Is it a bit difficult? Even though Xiaoxian was decisive in killing, he couldn't help but feel a little surprised when he heard this. Judging from his previous interactions with Wu Bingqing, Wu Bingqing is just a woman with a somewhat cold personality. I didn't expect that he could be so vicious in his words and deeds. Actually want to kill Qinglong directly? Are you sure this isn't a joke? Not to mention Qinglong's own strength. Even if he is a waste, he is still the number one disciple of the inner sect of Qinghua Academy and the direct disciple of Kanglong. If he is killed by Xiaoxian, could Kanglong possibly spare him? Isn't this a way to die? Are you serious? Xiaoxian couldn't help but ask, for me now, is this condition a bit harsh? There are already various crises in Tianyang Pond. There will also be active fights between various genius disciples in the Mingzhou domain. As long as you do it secretly, no one will know. Wu Bingqing's face was cold, and, I will help you. Kill a disciple. This is nothing to Xiaoxian. But at this point in time, Qinglong is still Xiaoxian's senior brother, and has this level of identity. If Xiaoxian kills Qinglong, isn't it equivalent to internal fighting within the sect? If word spreads, Kanglong will definitely not spare him. What's wrong? You're not such a courageous person, are you? Seeing Xiaoxian's hesitant look, Wu Bingqing smiled instead. Not everyone has the information about the heavenly thunder bamboo. If you help me kill Qinglong, I will give you the real heavenly thunder bamboo. Do you consider this a threat? Xiaoxian asked. Of course not. This is obviously a matter of win-win cooperation. Wu Bingqing immediately shook her head. You help me get rid of Qinglong, and I will find Tian Liazu for you. This is a fair exchange, and everyone is happy. Hear this. Xiaoxian couldn't help but became a little silent. Judging from Wu Bingqing's plan, it seems that this is a very reasonable exchange. But only he knows that there is a saying that if you don't see a rabbit, don't let go an eagle. There is no sign of Tian Liazu yet, so it seems a bit too early to agree to Wu Bingqing now. He also laughed and said, but why should I believe you? Based on this. This is a bamboo shoot from the heavenly thunder bamboo. You can go back and use it. If it is useful, come back to me. Wu Bingqing turned her palms. On her jade-white palm, there was a black bamboo shoot as thick as an arm. Seeing this scene, Xiaoxian was also secretly surprised. He tried to touch the black thunder bamboo under the protection of Dao Li. Unexpectedly. I haven't come across this bamboo shoot yet. He had already felt that there was a trace of lightning power on it. Although this thunder and lightning power is not very powerful, Xiaoxian can feel that this thunder and lightning power is extremely pure. Even more pure than the lightning he encountered in the lightning strike place. This was really something that surprised him. For such a long time, he has seen various natural forces, the power of wind, the power of rain, the power of fire, and the power of water on Wu Bingqing's body. But these powers are basically revealed from the practitioners. Xiao Xian did not expect that there would be such pure thunder and lightning power contained in the heaven and earth spiritual treasures. This is a deposit. In the Tianyan pond, as long as you cooperate with me, after killing Qinglong, I will have my other half as a gift. Xiao Xian said seriously. Wu Bingqing paused. Thunder bamboo is of no use to me today, so you don't have to worry about me deceiving you. Long Ruoxiu said, maybe this way I can get closer to you. Xiao Xian's arms also trembled slightly. On the dinner table. Good. But what I want to say is that if I have the opportunity, I still want to go further. Then what if the soul is destroyed? Xiao Xian couldn't help but said. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I will protect you. Practice. But I heard that this baptism of Tianyan is extremely important, and there are some unknown dangers. Do you want to go too? There is a remnant soul of the Golden God realm. This made Xiao Xian feel a little embarrassed. However, I feel a little uneasy. Long Ruoxiu nodded after hearing this and said, this is also a training method for the powerful people in the Golden God realm in the legend. In the Golden God realm, one can already be reborn with blood and reshape the remaining soul. As long as there are still people in the human world, a trace of soul or blood can lead to rebirth. Hear this. Return to the sect. I heard that you seem to have encountered a little trouble during this mission in the Lightning Strike land. Long Ruoxiu changed the subject. Xiao Xian was a little worried. Xiao Xian nodded. I didn't expect that a strong man in the realm of the Golden God could exist in the world with just a trace of his remnant soul. He could even create a divine soul realm with just the power of his remnant soul. It's very terrifying. I don't know since when, he and Long Ruoxiu have had some vague relationship. Under such a state, entering the Tianyan pond without trump cards or secret techniques may be dangerous. He also knew that he didn't have to pay for these things, but he didn't expect Wu Bingqing to be so decisive. Seeing Long Ruoxiu, he also had a smile on his face and said with a smile, why are you here? Didn't you practice today? Long Ruoxiu said, are you prepared for the baptism of heavenly flame that is coming soon? Maybe, this is a dangerous trial. Now Long Ruoxiu's strength is only at the peak of the spiritual God realm. Xiao Xian saw Long Ruoxiu, who had been waiting for a long time, at first glance. After saying that, she stood up and left. Then there won't be any chance of resurrection. Long Ruoxiu was stunned and said, after all, people in the Golden God realm don't have the power of dragons yet. Prepare some. There are also various delicacies left. Yes. Go. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 822. Dragon Power. Is this the legendary Dragon God realm? Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask. He knew that compared to him, Long Ruoxiu, a practitioner who had been on the Dao continent for many years, might know more. Good. On our eastern wilderness continent, a strong man in the Dragon God realm appeared a long time ago. It is said that this strong man in the Dragon God realm has a trace of dragon blood in his body, and he was promoted to the realm with this trace of dragon blood. Long Ruoxiu said, speaking of which, this monk is a sword cultivator just like you. Sword cultivator. Could it be, Gongsun Heya? Xiao Xian couldn't help but his heart moved. After he came to Dao continent, he basically didn't meet any truly powerful sword cultivators, the only one was Gongsun Heya. Not only did he rescue Gongsun Heya's daughter Gongsun Xiao, but he also learned his Wuji swordsmanship. From this perspective, he can also be regarded as having learned from Gongsun Heya. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Even so, Xiao Xian also didn't expect Gongsun Heya to be so strong. Certainly. Not to mention Gongsun Heya's strength, not to mention in the Mingzhou territory, even in the entire eastern wilderness continent, his reputation is very great. Long Ruoxiu said regretfully, it's just that over the past few years, strong men in the dragon god realm have appeared in other continents. On the contrary, our eastern wilderness continent has gradually become lonely and has lost its former glory. Dragon god realm. Can a person of this level already stand at the top of a continent? Xiao Xian roughly made some judgments. It seems that if he wants to find out the secrets of this continent, he needs to at least upgrade his realm to the dragon god realm. Only when you reach this state, maybe he is qualified to continue exploring on the mainland. This should also be your goal, right? Long Ruoxiu suddenly asked Xiao Xian. Isn't that your goal? Xiao Xian was stunned and asked, wanting to become a strong person is the goal of almost all cultivators, right? It's true though. But, this matter is not that simple. Long Ruoxiu shook her head. If you want to reach the state, you must first have enough opportunities and opportunities. It can't be achieved just by hard work. Regarding Long Ruoxiu's words, Xiao Xian also nodded, obviously approving it, and then continued, this is what I should do, but I think I have a chance. Hear this. Long Ruoxiu naturally had another strange look. You know, over the years, in the entire Mingzhou territory and even the entire eastern wilderness continent, there are many people in the Golden God realm, but there is only one Dragon God realm. They are those strong men in the realm of the Golden God. Facing the Dragon God realm, he maintained a humble attitude. There would be someone like Xiao Xian, who was only in the spiritual God realm, but he was so confident. Regarding Xiao Xian's state, if she hadn't known him before, Long Ruoxiu would probably think that there was something wrong with this guy's brain. Could it be that this is the confidence you gained from Wu Bingqing? Long Ruoxiu suddenly changed the topic. Did I hear that you just became quite famous in Qinghua College? Xiao Xian suddenly had a black line on his face. He originally thought that what happened between him and Wu Bingqing just now should be considered a secret, but now it seems that it is something that everyone knows. What's wrong with you? How come you even know this? Xiao Xian was somewhat embarrassed. Before he went to the lightning strike place, many disciples in Wu Meng's lineage knew about it. Therefore, it was not a secret that he and Wu Bingqing went to the lightning strike place, but what he didn't expect was that Long Ruoxiu would also know about his return to Ziwixian Tower. I'm not the only one who knows. Our entire lineage, and even the entire young disciples of Qinghua Academy, know about it. Long Ruoxiu had a natural look on her face. This matter was originally caused by someone else on purpose, it seems to be Kong Dao. Hear this. Xiao Xian's brows wrinkled. At that time, he did not give Kong Dao and Qing long face, thinking that it was not a big deal. Now it seems that he really underestimated these two people. You're not going to cause trouble for them, are you? This is really someone who wants to cause trouble for him, and he can't hide away even if he wants to. It's just clouds and wind. Xiao Xian was really a bit embarrassed to smile. I don't know if Qing Long, the inner sect's top disciple, dies during the baptism of Tianyan this time. Will it cause an uproar in Qinghua College? Long Ruoxiu was secretly worried. I heard that in Qinghua Academy, the inner disciples all look up to Qing Long. If you provoke Qing Long, I'm afraid you will be in constant trouble in the future. They would naturally look askance at Xiao Xian. Now, you have completely become a famous person in the professor's college. In the entire professor's college, every new professor knows you. Now their dream lover is taken advantage of by Xiao Xian. I haven't taught it in a single class, and it does seem a bit inappropriate. Needless to say, Wu Bingqing was good-looking, strong, and had a proud family background. She was originally the dream lover of many freshman disciples of Qinghua Academy. Faced with such a situation, a kind reminder to Long Ruoxiu. He is hated by most young disciples. If such a thing were done to a person who was not determined, he would probably collapse early. Long Ruoxiu's eyes were teasing. However, you should also go to the Professor Academy once. He won't do that either. You have forgotten that you even fooled Elder Agni with your yin-yang stealth technique before. Before going to the lightning strike place, you used tricks to embarrass him and pressure other professors to recruit students. Long Ruoxia shook her head. Moreover, now you have provoked Wu Bingqing. How can this kind of thing gather on one person without attracting others' attention? That's good. Xiao Xian also reacted. Hear this. If Elder Agni hadn't been pressing forward step by step. Why, Xiao Xian was stunned. He really had no intention of becoming famous. It seems that I have really become a thorn in the side of those people, Xiao Xian said with a smile. The inner disciples of Qinghua Academy are also uneasy. But Xiao Xian was not an ordinary person. At that time he collected 1 million Dao stones. As for provoking Wu Bingqing just now, it was also for Tian Liazu. Indeed. You haven't been teaching for such a long time, so you should teach those students some of your Taoist skills. Xiao Xian also nodded, but then he still said, don't worry, if they don't make trouble for me, I won't make trouble for nothing. I'm not that free. Speaking of which, he had no choice but to slap Elder Lihuo in the professor's college face before. Would you like to go to the professor's academy now? Long Ruoxiu advised, otherwise, the freshmen would think you were cheating on Daoshi. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 823. Where's Master Wu? Do you want to go back and check back? Xiao Xian also nodded. Master Wu went to the top of Mingzhou territory. Long Ruoxia shook his head. It is said that the Continental Conference is about to begin. What is the All-Continent Conference? Xiao Xian asked subconsciously. You really don't know what you are paying attention to all day long. Long Ruoxia shook her head helplessly. The All-Continent Conference is the most grand disciple competition in the entire Eastern Wasteland continent, and young talents from the entire continent will participate. Our Qinghua Academy will also go there, in order to compete for the qualifications for the next competition with other continents. So to say, at the Continental Conference, the youngest and most talented disciples in the entire Eastern Wilderness continent will appear? Can we still fight with them? There was a little more desire to challenge in Xiao Xian's eyes. Seeing Xiao Xian's look, Long Ruoxia quickly understood what he was thinking, and couldn't help but say, you are really big-hearted, but do you know that although the Eastern Barren Giant continent is not as good as other continents, the genius but it's not a lot. It's just like Qinghua Academy. In the Mingzhou territory, it may still have some reputation, but if it is placed in the Eastern Barren Giant continent, it will be unknown. As for being among the 4 continents, it is like a drop in the ocean. I got you. Wait until Long Ruoxia finishes speaking. Xiao Suanke answered, you mean, my current strength is nothing in the entire Eastern Wilderness continent, right? Indeed so. The sects that are truly famous in the Eastern Barren continent are the Green Thunder Palace, the 9-Star Pavilion, and the Chixia Temple. Long Ruoxiu said, over the years, these 3 sects have been the most powerful in the Eastern Wasteland, and their disciples are also the most elite. I heard the names of these 3 sects. Instead, Xiao Xian felt a sense of déjà vu. It seemed that he had heard of it somewhere. These are all things for later. You shouldn't meet such a person at the Tianyan baptism, right? Xiao Xian said casually, I remember that the realm limit of Tianyan baptism is below the Blue God realm, right? Good. Moreover, the Tianyan baptism is only attended by disciples within the Mingzhou territory, so the competition is naturally not as big as the All-Continent Conference. Long Ruoxiu said, but, you are starting to think about the All-Continental Conference before you are qualified to enter the All-Continental Conference. Are you thinking too much? In fact, her words were considered polite. For ordinary people, being able to participate in the baptism of Tianyuan is already considered a famous talent in the Mingzhou domain. As for the Continental Conference and even the subsequent four-continent competition, it is a bigger stage. Unless he is an extremely gifted disciple. Most disciples wouldn't even dare to think about it. Now, Xiao Xian had just qualified for the Heavenly Flame baptism, and he was thinking about the future all-continent conference, which was a bit too far ahead. Hey. People always have to have dreams. Although I am still just an ordinary disciple now, in the future, I may not be able to stand at the pinnacle of the entire continent. Seeing Long Ruoxiu's strange expression, Xiao Xian chuckled, isn't this the dream of most cultivators? After saying this, the sight also attracted the attention of some disciples of Wu Meng's lineage. Indeed, if you really want to talk about it, when these ordinary cultivators embarked on the path of cultivation from ordinary people, they probably made a decision in their hearts that they must stand out and become a dragon or a phoenix among people. Although, this goal is not easy to achieve. But at least, since entering the path of cultivation, a cultivator should have such thoughts. The pinnacle of the continent. You have a pretty good idea. Do you really think that the practitioners on our Dongzhou continent are so weak? After hearing Xiao Xian's words, Long Ruoxiu shook her head instead. The reason why the Eastern Barren Giant Continent is called the Giant Continent is because of its vast territory and numerous races. Even though it has declined a bit compared with other states in recent years, it is still very powerful. Strong. Regarding these words of Long Ruoxiu, Xiao Xian also nodded. He naturally knew that what Long Ruoxiu said was true. As a continent, there will naturally be various powerful characters on the Eastern Barren Continent. It is precisely because of these strong men. Only the Eastern Barren Giant Continent can legitimately become a giant continent. As a visitor from the outside world, he probably still has a long way to go if he wants to show his strength on this continent. And on this road, the simplest way is to use tyrannical strength to make others respect him. However, it is precisely with this kind of thinking that you will be able to truly become a person at the top in the future. Long Ruoxiu thought for a moment, her eyes became brighter, and said, just like back then. Gongsun is the same as Yat. Do you know Gongsun Heya? Xiao Xian was a little curious. Certainly. He was the pride of our entire eastern wilderness continent back then. If it weren't for such a person, the entire continent might have been carved up. Long Ruoxiu's face was solemn. Those of us on this continent will become slaves and slaves of others. So serious. Aren't there only 4 continents in the entire Dao continent? It seems that the sects on those continents are not so easy to talk to. Xiao Xian nodded secretly. Once, he saw a map of Dao continent. Compared with other continents, the Eastern Barren Giant Continent is a relatively small one, but it happens to be at the junction of several continents. Moreover, the cities in the Eastern Wilderness Continent are dotted with stars. Various resources and trial areas emerge in endlessly. There are even some unexplored places marked on the map. Most practitioners will know that places like this are places where opportunities are likely to occur. Such a place. It's no wonder that sects from other continents are interested in this. This is considered a relatively normal thing. Those powerful cultivating sects in other continents are not fuel-efficient lamps. If there is an opportunity to improve their strength and expand their power, they will naturally not let it go. Yes. From the perspective of other continents, our Eastern Wilderness Continent has no masters at the Dragon God realm, but monopolizing a continent's cultivation resources is a bit excessive. That's why they have great ideas about the Eastern Wilderness Continent. Long Ruoxiu said, especially after the deaths of Gongsun and Yasheng, The Eastern Barren Continent has been encroached on a lot of territory by other continents, and even some of its disciples have disappeared inexplicably. So serious, Xiao Xian was stunned. Yes. It's just that firstly, we are no match for them and have no way to intervene. Secondly, we have no evidence of robbing people from other continents. In the end, these matters can only be left alone. Long Ruoxiu said helplessly. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 824. Then these continents are really a bit hateful. After Xiao Xian heard this, although he was dissatisfied, he didn't feel much. Really speaking, he is not a cultivator on this continent either. The cultivators from the eastern wilderness continent disappeared, and it seemed that they had nothing to do with him and were not worthy of his decisive attention. Let's go. Let's go to the professor's college first. Elder Lihuo has been very anxious since you haven't been here these days. After Long Ruoxiu finished talking to herself, she also said, after all, you are indeed a bit incompetent as a professor. Speaking of this, Xiao Xian also blushed. Indeed, since he got the position of professor, he didn't seem to spend much energy in the professor's college. Although he has participated in a lot of Taoism battles, he also stole the show every time, attracting the attention and admiration of many freshmen. Of course, in the end, he naturally got a lot of new students to sign up. Daoshi accepted a lot, but he didn't attend a single class. He was really a little embarrassed. That is to say, his reputation is too loud. Among the freshmen who signed up, no one reported him. Otherwise, he is in the faculty of teaching. I am afraid that I will also suffer a lot of disasters from the Agni Fire Elders. Along the way, Long Ruoxiu introduced a lot of her experiences in the Professor College these days. It turned out that it was because she and Xiao Xian were the only disciples of Wu Meng's lineage in the Professor's Academy. Although they entered the Professor's College. However, she still encountered many other professors looking for trouble, especially seeing that Long Ruoxiu was only at the peak of the spiritual god realm, and her strength was not very strong in the Professor's College. Therefore, professors would take the initiative to challenge her from time to time. Moreover, the name of the challenge is also very fair, Taoist competition. Because of the favoritism of Elder Lihuo. Every time, Long Ruoxiu would suffer more or less. A few times, I even got hurt. Wu Meng also made an appearance for this matter, but Elder Lihuo said that it was normal to get injured in a Taoist competition. It is easy to make Wu Meng return home in defeat. After all, as the branch dean, he couldn't stay in the professor's college every day, so he could only give a warning. Because Wu Meng had no way to intervene. Long Ruoxiu has suffered a lot of injustice in the professor college these days. In response, Xiao Xian's face also darkened. Especially when he saw the purple scars on Long Ruoxiu's arms, his eyes were full of anger. He doesn't know. The reason why those so-called professors were targeting Long Ruoxiu was actually because they were targeting him. These are the professors in the faculty. Many people kneeled down to lick Elder Lihuo in order to get some resources, so they deliberately targeted Long Ruoxiu. It's nothing more than wanting to submit a certificate to Elder Lihuo. Regarding this, Xiao Xian also looked a little annoyed. Professors. Since you are looking for trouble, I hope you can maintain your previous attitude today. Don't be afraid. Do not worry. Today, I will get everything back for you. Xiao Xian looked sinister. Follow Long Ruoxiu and walk directly into the Professor Academy. At this moment, in the teaching college, many professors are teaching Taoism to their disciples in a serious manner. After seeing Xiao Xian appear, some professors showed a hint of panic on their faces. Several professors around Elder Lihuo hurriedly put down the students around them and ran towards the back. Apparently he went to spread the word. Xiao Xian did not stop him. The more people who come, the better. Today, he wants to make things bigger, at least to tell Elder Lihuo and other professors that people from Wu Meng's lineage are not so easy to bully. If you want to bully them, just be prepared to pay the price. With such a purpose, Xiao Xian also sat on the fighting stage of the Professor Academy with a carefree attitude. Same as other colleges. There is also a fighting platform inside the teaching academy. This place is used for professors to demonstrate Taoism, or for students to compete in Taoism. Usually only when there is a Taoist battle. Only then will someone come up. At this time, Xiao Xian was sitting on it, and his purpose was very clear, which was to cause trouble for others. Do you still remember who the people who hurt you are? Xiao Xian asked Long Ruoxiu. I remember, but... Long Ruoxiu was a little worried. She could see that Xiao Xian was now at the perfect level of the spiritual god realm, but this was the Professor Academy, the territory of Elder Lihuo. The abilities of other professors are mostly similar. Although the strength of these professors is far inferior to that of the inner disciples, most of them have reached the great perfection of the spiritual god realm. Otherwise, Long Ruoxiu would not be injured so easily. So at this moment, Long Ruoxiu was a little unsure. She didn't know who was stronger between Xiao Xian and those professors. Xiao Xian shook his head. Today, I will teach them a lesson. No one can bully you in the Professor's Academy. If it was the time before, not to mention it was just a scratch, it would be understandable if it was a broken leg and hand, right? Xiao Xian keenly captured this information. Arrogant. Am I arrogant? In a Taoist battle, injuries are normal. Xiao Xian smiled. After he said this, it also aroused a lot of discussion. Cut off arms and legs? Isn't this Professor Xiao Xian? I haven't seen him for such a long time. I didn't expect him to come today. Good. Not bad. It doesn't matter. Some people were talking about it. Have you ever fought against each other? Xiao Xian heard these words clearly. Huang Long smiled gloomily and deliberately asked the people around him. There were many fellow professors around him. Most people simply don't dare to take the initiative to challenge. Oh. I've heard a long time ago that Huang Long's fire claws are very powerful. How about we compare? Long Ruoxia gritted her teeth, obviously suppressing the hatred in her heart. Huang Long, don't be too arrogant. After these people heard what he said, they naturally echoed in laughter, obviously not taking Long Ruoxiu and Xiao Xian seriously. Huang Long, Long Ruoxiu's pretty face was slightly cold. What do you want? A chubby guy wearing yellow trousers suddenly stood up. It is also known as a small earth-level Taoist technique, and its power is extraordinary. Just saying. Especially his unique skill Fire Claw. Now, Xiao Xian actually took such a risk, which attracted the attention of some professors and even students. Junior sister Ruoxiu, I'm so sorry for our last fight. I didn't expect you to be so weak that I got hurt. Huang Long smiled and narrowed his eyes. He remembered the sentence. Ahem. You know, Huang Long is definitely one of the most powerful professors in the Professor Academy, and ordinary people are no match for him. It's just a normal Taoist competition. My fire claw seems to have some effect, doesn't it? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 825. Is there such a thing? In my impression, what Elder Xiao Xian is good at seems to be only evasive techniques such as yin-yang stealth technique, but not offensive claw techniques, right? Huang Long narrowed his eyes. Is it possible? Do you think you will have much ability? This shows how ignorant you are. Does it mean that if you haven't seen something, it doesn't exist? Xiao Xian smiled and said, if you have never seen your parents since you were born, does that mean you have no parents? As a person who has traveled through time, naturally, his verbal skill will not be inferior to that of Huang Long. It can be said that if you rely solely on the power of words, 10 yellow dragons or 100 yellow dragons are no match for Xiao Xian. But now, Xiao Xian not only wants to defeat Huang Long verbally. He also wanted to let this guy know that he was no match for him either. It's a bit interesting. So, Xiao Xian, do you really want to compete with me? I advise you, it's better to think about it. Huang Long smiled slightly, otherwise, if you are injured by me, you will miss the baptism of Tianyan. He said this. Some professors also have a joke mentality. Only then did they see Huang Long's thoughts. It turned out that Huang Long took the initiative to challenge Xiao Xian at this moment just to prevent the latter from participating in the baptism of Tianyan. Such means are certainly despicable. But it can also prove Huang Long's strong confidence. After all, anything can happen on the fighting stage. If Huang Long defeats Xiao Xian, if Xiao Xian is injured, he will naturally miss the baptism of the heavenly flame that follows. But similarly, if Huang Long is injured, he will not be able to participate in the baptism of Tianyan. At this moment, Huang Long can take the initiative to challenge Xiao Xian, which is enough to prove that he does have very strong self-confidence. Thinking that he can defeat Xiao Xian casually. How about it? I wonder, does junior brother Xiao Xian have this confidence? Huang Long walked up to the fighting platform and twisted his fat body. If not, I will do it now. I, Huang Long, don't mean to harm others in the trial, do I? Excuse me. It seems that senior brother Huang Long is really kind-hearted. But unfortunately, I, Xiao Xian, am not a good person. Today, I will destroy your trial. Xiao Xian sneered. Say it. The atmosphere on the fighting stage became tense instantly. Xiao Xian already made his attitude clear in a few words. I came to the Duzan arena today just to make trouble for others, and Huang Long was just one of them. Humph, this kid still looks arrogant outside the fighting stage. In the meeting hall on the second floor, Elder Lihuo said disdainfully while holding a wine glass. It's nothing more than the power of words. This guy just relies on the power of his mouth. It's nothing special. Today Huang Long will let him know that there is a better world. A disciple from the professor's college sneered. Good. Huang Long can be regarded as one of the more powerful professors in our teaching college over the years. Elder Lihuo said with approval, especially his Lihuo claw. It is said that he was once on par with Hu Tailong. In King Hua Academy, except for the 8 inner disciples, no one is his opponent. After Bai Feng died, the academy has never replaced the inner disciples. I don't know whether Huang Long or Hu Tailong will enter this time. The disciple on the side asked tentatively, if Huang Long can become an inner disciple, our professor college will also have a bright face. Elder Lihuo shook his head. Let's not even think about the inner disciples. Being able to become an inner disciple of our King Hua College is one of the best among people. If Huang Long can really get in, it will be considered a favor to our professor college, but... Elder Lihuo was about to be humble, but he frowned. He found that Xiao Xian's strength had been demonstrated on the fighting stage. The strong and pure power of the avenue. It was like mercury pouring down the ground, released from his body, and the golden energy gathered, overflowing the entire fighting platform. On Xiao Xian's body, it became a golden cloud. Such a majestic and powerful power of the avenue. It was obvious that he had reached the great perfection of the spiritual God realm. This really made Elder Lihuo a little unbelievable, and even involuntarily squeezed the wine glass in his hand. He remembered it clearly. Before Xiao Xian went to the lightning strike place, he was still an ordinary person at the peak of the spiritual God realm. Why, after going to a place struck by lightning, he actually raised his level to the great perfection of the spiritual God realm. Could it be that he encountered another adventure? This made Elder Lihuo feel upset. A place like a lightning strike. Not to mention that it is full of dangers, it is also filled with gloomy energy. If a cultivator goes there, most of the time he will be frightened when he comes back. Where can Xiaoxian be like this? Not only has the state not fallen, but it has also improved. There won't be any surprises in this fight, right? For a moment, Elder Lihuo's face looked a little ugly, and he said directly, "Is it possible that this guy can surprise me again?" Boom. Do platform. Under the gaze of dozens of professors and students from the Professor College, Xiaoxian swung his fist in an ordinary way and hit Huanglong's chest. This move turned out to be just using the power of the great Dao in his body, without any moves, and he actually planned to defeat Huanglong with his strength. See this. Huanglong's face also became ferocious. No need for Taoism. It seems that you really look down on me, Mr. Huang. In this case, today I will let you know what regret is. Huanglong roared angrily, and the red power in his hand circulated, instantly making his hand hot. Red color on hands. Just like red-hot chicken feed. Although this appearance is not good looking, if you ignore the power of the fire claw, you will suffer a big loss. Fire claws appeared instantly. But Huanglong saw that Xiaoxian did not dodge, and there was a sinister smile on his fat face. His fire claws not only enhance the power of the avenue. More importantly, there is the power of the scorching flames on it. If someone else touches it, it can range from being burned, to severe cases, the flames may directly enter the body, damaging the foundation of cultivation. Xiaoxian is not avoiding or dodging at this moment, isn't he actively seeking death? Snort. Huanglong chuckled secretly increased his strength in his hands, and gathered all the flames in his hands, intending to take the opportunity to severely injure Xiaoxian. The two palms collided. A collision of turbulent forces. Huanglong just felt that an extremely tyrannical force actually ignored the power of the avenue in his fiery palm. It rushed directly into his chest. The way of fire that was originally in his hands actually backfired on him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 826. Funny. With this little power, you still dare to challenge me. After feeling the weak power of Huanglong's fire palm, Xiaoxian was not polite at all. The power of the avenue in his hand surged violently and hit the former's chest. Under the impact of huge force, Huanglong's body flew away as if it was hit by a cannonball. This time, everyone around the fighting battlefield was instantly stunned. I saw that after Xiaoxian and Huanglong collided, the person who flew out turned out to be the latter. Moreover, after receiving a slap on the chest, his chest collapsed a little. It was obvious that his chest ribs had been shattered. With such a serious injury, Huanglong basically had no chance of being baptized by Tianyan a few days later. You. Huanglong struggled to get up. When he looked up, he saw Xiaoxian, who had already walked over. At this moment, there was no trace of arrogance in his eyes, but fear in his pupils. Fire claw, nothing more than that. Xiaoxian raised his foot and stepped on Huanglong's arm. With a click, the arm broke directly. Next, Huanglong didn't wait for his reaction. The power in his hand shook. Huanglong's limbs were shattered by the force, he screamed and passed out. Revenge. This is naked revenge. Everyone in the professor's college also understood it. What kind of competition in Dao power? Xiaoxian came today to avenge Long Ruoxiu. Moreover, it seemed that Huanglong could not calm down Xiaoxian's anger. So, who is next? Click. The second floor of the meeting hall. Elder Lihuo exerted a little force in his hands, and his fingers turned a little white. The wine glass also shattered in response. This Xiaoxian can really bring me surprises. Elder Lihuo's face was as gloomy as water. Master, the disciples on the side were also stunned. Damn it! Today's Professor College is probably going to be a river of blood. Elder Lihuo couldn't help but close his eyes. Everyone in the entire Professor College knew that those who targeted Long Ruoxiu before had his support. Now, Xiaoxian came to take revenge with anger. On the surface, it is aimed at other professors in the teaching college. But wasn't it also Elder Lihuo's face that was hit? At this moment, if Elder Lihuo doesn't show up, today may not end well. And Chen Feng and Wu Menghan, come up too. Xiaoxian looked around. Today, I want to learn your white python sword and red blood heart technique. You. Xiaoxian, everything before was all a misunderstanding. The two professors, a man and a woman, looked at each other with a little struggle on their faces, but they still walked up bravely. Cut the nonsense. Xiaoxian didn't listen to them at all. His body was like lightning, and he rushed directly towards the two of them. He punched both of them in the chest with his left and right hands respectively. He didn't even plan to use Taoism, and defeated two powerful men in the great perfection of spiritual God realm by relying solely on Taoism. You are so arrogant. Today, I will make you regret it. These two people just planned to make some move. However, he was punched by Xiaoxian. Under the huge force, his body was involuntarily knocked away. Two more people fell to the ground. There was a moment of silence in the professors' college. Both professors and students could not help but hold their breath, for fear of offending such a god of war as Xiaoxian. That's it? Elder Lihuo had no choice but to walk out with a gloomy face. Xiaoxian, what are you doing? Competitions in the Professor's Academy are all about competition. Don't you know this rule? Of course I know. Regarding the appearance of Elder Agni, Xiaoxian was not surprised at all. In fact, he had already known that Elder Lihuo was probably watching from the side. And you? Then why are you so merciless? For some reason, after seeing the expression on Xiaoxian's face, Elder Lihuo felt a little guilty and didn't know what to say. Elder Lihuo's words are wrong. If I didn't show mercy, I would have killed them by now. Xiaoxian shook his head. Do you think I don't have the strength? He said this. The people present fell silent instantly. Everyone looked at Elder Lihuo curiously, wanting to see how he would handle this matter. If Xiaoxian injured so many professors and was still unharmed, doesn't this mean that this is the right thing to do? Will professors in the academy be able to date casually in the future? Rules and order no longer exist? I really want to talk about it. Previously, the three Huanglongs also felt sorry for Long Ruoxiu and even injured the latter. At that time, Elder Lihuo said nothing. Now Xiaoxian injured these three people. Elder Lihuo stood up. Naturally, he doesn't care about Elder Lihuo's attitude. 1 month. Spend the same money, if you want to choose a professor to study between Huanglong and Xiaoxian. If Xiaoxian is punished, it would be a bit unreasonable. Among the professors' college. Just now, Xiaoxian's clean victory over 3 professors was seen by everyone. He wanted to criticize these students, but in the end, he held back. He gave Xiaoxian a hard look and sneered, since you are so aggressive, do you dare to fight with me? Their masters are all Din Wang Ao, Bai Sheng, and Lu Lianyi, and they are usually under the jurisdiction of these people. You must know that in the baptism of Tianyan, if you are not careful, you may lose your life. We object to your decision. Is it possible that there is a better professor than Xiaoxian in the Professor College? Isn't this obvious favoritism? Those colleges all come out of various branches. Xiaoxian is such an excellent professor. He should be allowed to teach more students instead of being suspended. This made Elder Lihuo very angry. So, What does Elder Lihuo plan to do with me? Xiao Xian was provocative. What he said caused a commotion. I am afraid that anyone with any brains would choose Xiao Xian. Deal with. Now in front of so many people. Doesn't it mean that other students have no chance to learn Taoism? Xiao Xian is such an excellent professor, and Elder Lihuo actually plans to hide him in the snow? Isn't this a waste of resources? Now the baptism of heavenly flame is coming. If left in the dark, Elder Lihuo might not take much risk and wouldn't be stabbed in the back. Elder Lihuo said coldly. Among the professors' college. The professors' college has rules. Every disciple is trying their best to improve their strength before this happens. At this moment, everyone expressed their objections. How much strength can this improve the students? Those who injure others without authorization will be suspended from duty for 1 month. But Elder Lihuo dealt with Xiao Xian like this. Xiao Xian, you. Long Ruoxiu was a little panicked. She was already very surprised when she saw Xiao Xian defeat Huang Long and the others. Now she was even more shocked when she saw that Xiao Xian dared to challenge Elder Lihuo. Elder Lihuo, isn't this a bit inappropriate? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 827. Elder Lihuo said these words. One stone stirs up 1,000 waves. In an instant, everyone around him was shocked. Some professors and students looked at him with strange eyes. No matter what you say. The elders of Lihuo are all powerful men in the Blue God realm. Or is he the dean of the professors' college? Even though he has a grudge against Xiao Xian, he doesn't seem to be ready to duel on the battlefield. Even if Xiao Xian goes to the fighting stage. Isn't Elder Lihuo afraid of being said to be bullying the younger? In response to this, Long Ruoxiu was dissatisfied. She quickly stopped Xiao Xian and whispered, Xiao Xian, don't be impulsive. Don't participate in this fight. She knew Xiao Xian's temperament. Not only would he rather bend than bend, he is also resolute. Faced with Elder Lihuo who has repeatedly made things difficult for him, he is indeed very likely to agree to this challenge. See this scene. Elder Lihuo was not surprised. In fact, he took the initiative to provoke Xiao Xian just now, and his purpose was very simple. Naturally, it was impossible for him to have a sex match with Xiao Xian on the fighting stage. Instead, he just wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. Suppress the latter well. Let Xiao Xian know that there is heaven outside the world and there are people outside the world. After all, he is really a cultivator in the spiritual realm. Of course, there are some talents among the professors in the teaching college. But when facing him, he was still like a loser. At the same time, the disciples in the professors' college also nodded secretly and whispered among themselves. In their view, there is nothing to blame for Xiao Xian's refusal to challenge. On the contrary, there is something wrong with Elder Lihuo, who has no grace and bullies the small. How can there be such a thing? As the dean of a professorial college, take the initiative to challenge his professors and disciples? Their levels and strengths are different. Even if they fight like this, they won't win or lose, but it won't explain the problem. I feel happy at the same time. Also, the professors who followed Elder Lihuo. He often followed Elder Lihuo to make noises. In their view, bullying a freshman professor like Xiao Xian who had neither identity nor background was no big deal at all. Moreover, there is the support of Elder Lihuo behind him. No matter how strong Xiao Xian was, he would not dare to attack them in front of Elder Lihuo without giving them any face. Now it seems that their choice was not wrong. Elder Lihuo, this Xiao Xian was too presumptuous before, you must not let him go. Such arrogant people, our professor college must not exist. Indeed, please ask Elder Lihuo to clarify the punishment. Some professors who followed Elder Lihuo also nodded one after another. Especially the professors who were almost challenged by Xiao Xian just now all agreed. Hear these bustling words. Instead, Xiao Xian just smiled slightly and said, "Elder Lihuo, it seems that the dogs around you are really good. Otherwise, how about we fight against each other to make these dogs shut their mouths? Say it." The people next to him were immediately shocked. Surprise and surprise were all on their faces. Even Elder Lihuo couldn't help but look at Xiao Xian with strange eyes, a little disbelieving. The gap between the blue god realm and the spiritual god realm. It's not something that can be made up for with just one sentence of genius. If the person standing in front of him now was Qinglong or Wu Bingqing, he might still hesitate. Consider whether to fight the opponent. But now, the person standing in front of him is Xiao Xian. Even though Xiao Xian was the first among freshmen and the first among professors before, he even performed well in Qinglian Valley. But these achievements are only in the spiritual realm. The opponents he faced were only high-level and mid-level figures in the spiritual god realm. Now, Elder Lihuo is a real person in the blue god realm. After being in the blue god realm for so many years, he has a very deep understanding of Lihuo Deyun. Just relying on these, Elder Lihuo captured Xiao Xian with ease. He. Today's young people are indeed extraordinary. Regardless of their strength, their courage alone makes me look at them in a new light. In the opinion of Elder Lihuo, facing Xiao Xian today was a sure win. Simply, he also deliberately praised Xiao Xian a few words, which made him look very magnanimous. "Elder Lihuo, you don't have to be like this," the professor next to him said. "Xiao Xian is just a spiritual god with no ability. He wants to challenge you, that is, to show off his power of words. I'm afraid, when you wait after showing the power of the blue god realm, you will take the initiative to admit defeat." Yes, how can a mere spiritual god realm defeat the blue god realm? Xiao Xian, you are too impulsive. However, I have long heard that Elder Lihuo's fire-burning heaven technique is powerful. Today, the disciple really wants to learn from it. No. Under the cynicism of a group of people. I know what's going on and I won't do anything I'm not sure about. Elder Lihuo pretended to be generous. In fact, she had an uneasy feeling when Elder Agni proposed the challenge. Everyone focused their attention on Xiao Xian. Obviously, no one thought that Xiao Xian could win this battle. Moreover, on Elder Lihuo. But from the bottom of my heart, maybe it wouldn't cause Xiao Xian's challenge today. Rest assured. She could still roughly guess that with Xiao Xian's character, he would probably take the initiative to agree to this challenge. This time after the lightning strike. What a funny choice, you will definitely slap yourself in the face in the end. Thank you, Elder Lihuo, for giving me face. Xiao Xian cupped his hands and smiled. As long as you apologize to the professor you injured just now and give him 500,000 Dao stones, the matter will be over this time. At this moment, she also felt a little regretful. He did not feel Lei Wanjun's strong sense of oppression. It was obvious that Elder Lihuo was weaker than Lei Wanjun. He has been tireless for a long time, but for such a long time, he has not had the strength to challenge. Xiao Xian, I can give you a chance. He really wanted to give it a try to see how strong this Elder Lihuo was. Xiao Xian smiled slightly. Xiao Xian also roughly understood how powerful the strong men in the Kang God realm were. It seemed that the strong men in the Kang God realm were not the kind of people who were invincible. Long Ruoxiu looked worried. He faced Lei Wanjun head-on, although in the end, they did not decide the winner head-on. Long Ruoxiu looked worried. After this battle, if she had known that things would reach this point, maybe she shouldn't have told her about being bullied at the professor's college. Although he rejected Elder Agni at the first time. Is it possible that Xiao Xian still thinks that he is a genius? In this case, although Elder Lihuo is not among the most powerful Kangshen realm members in Qinghua Academy, he has condensed the Kangshen Tao charm after all. You, you must be extremely careful. Regarding Elder Lihuo's repeated provocations. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 828. Hearing Xiao Xian's words, Elder Lihuo frowned instantly. The burning heaven technique, this is his most popular Taoist technique. It was also a chance encounter that year that allowed him to comprehend a hint of the way of fire. With this chance, he was barely promoted to the Blue God realm. And the burning fire technique. It is a fire technique that most flame cultivators like to practice. Not only is it powerful, it is also very simple to use. It is considered one of Elder Lihuo's special skills. Now, in front of so many people, Xiao Xian actually offered to fight Elder Lihuo using the fire-burning heaven technique. Doesn't this mean that he wants to slap Elder Lihuo in the face? After all, if Xiao Xian is not even afraid of the fiery fire-burning heaven technique, isn't it proof? Xiao Xian didn't take Elder Lihuo seriously at all? Good. The smile on Elder Lihuo's face was a little stiff. What's going on? In his estimation, if he offered to fight, Xiao Xian would not agree as long as he had some brains. Then he said a few words. Give Xiao Xian a step down and ask him to apologize and compensate. In this way, the anger in Xiao Xian's heart was released, and he gained face, getting the best of both worlds. Who knew that Xiao Xian would be so disrespectful? Are you going to take the initiative to provoke him? Doesn't this mean you don't take him seriously at all? Seeing the seriousness on Xiao Xian's face, the smile on Elder Lihuo's face disappeared, and his eyes were cold. In that case. Finally, don't blame me for being ruthless. Elder Lihuo also felt a little unhappy. Pushing away the people around him, he walked directly towards Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian, I know you have some tricks, but it's not that simple to defeat the Kang God realm with the spiritual God realm. As long as you can last for an hour in my burning fire technique, you will win, Elder Lihuo said, otherwise, just admit your mistake and apologize honestly. That's not necessary. Since it's a battle on the fighting stage, let's all rely on our abilities. There don't need to be too many restrictions. Xiao Xian didn't appreciate it. At this time, Elder Lihuo's face turned completely ugly. At the same time, a fire of ignorant karma rose up from his heart. How could Xiao Xian be so arrogant when he was only in the spiritual realm? Could it be that he really thought he could defeat himself casually? Good. It's extraordinary to have such thoughts. Today, let me see what you are capable of defeating me. Elder Lihuo walked directly to the fighting platform. Just standing there, a scorching fire appeared out of thin air and enveloped the entire fighting platform. Boom! A huge red flame appears. Several disciples who were relatively close to the fighting platform were also burned by the temperature of the flames and involuntarily retreated one after another. The red flames all over the sky made the fighting stage extremely hot. This was also the first difficulty Elder Lihuo gave Xiao Xian to see if he had the courage to step onto the fighting stage. Interesting. Is this a test for me? Xiao Xian smiled. I have to say that this Elder Agni is also a bit interesting. At this time, he was tested in this way. In fact, even from a distance, Xiao Xian could feel that Elder Lihuo's fire technique was really good. The fire burned brightly. Faced with such a scene, ordinary practitioners in the spiritual realm may not have the courage to step forward. A mere flame. What can you do to me? However, after Xiao Xian glanced at these flames at this moment, his face showed a bit of sarcasm. At that time, it was time to collect the flame lotus. He has already seen some extraordinary flames. To be honest, the flame attribute of the flame lotus in his hand is much stronger than the artificial flames like Elder Lihuo. He can withstand such a powerful flame. Artificial flame, what is it? Xiao Xian smiled casually. In front of everyone, he raised his feet and walked directly upwards. His white clothes were graceful and his steps were light. He actually ignored the blazing fire. This scene also stunned the disciples present. To know. After all, these flames on the fighting stage were a show of force specially prepared by Elder Lihuo. It is very likely that Xiao Xian can pass. But the premise is that at least there should be some Taoist protection or secret treasure protection, right? So powerful now? Who knows? Interesting. Under the stimulation of Dao power all over his body, the flames rose instantly, and even the air was distorted by the burning. If it hits them, no one can resist it. He also directly put away the other flames on the fighting platform, put the fire into his palm, and a huge fire palm emerged out of thin air. See the smile on Xiao Xian's face. Such a palm. Although there were many flames, they were only very powerful. After the flames dispersed, the real threat they posed to Xiao Xian was not that great. Xiao Xian smiled instead, a trace of golden power emerged, and a golden shield appeared directly around his body after the serious sword was unsheathed. As expected of the Kengshen realm, but, this Dao Yun doesn't seem to be as powerful as Lei Wanjun. Elder Lihuo was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Xiao Xian was not afraid at all, but he still had time to comment on the Taoist charm on Elder Lihuo's palm. Fire palm. Xiao Xian didn't even pay attention to these flames. He walked into the flames so carelessly. Red flame. Xiao Xuanyun, dressed in white, looked calm and relaxed. Faced with the fierce fire palm that was gradually approaching. The Taoist power in Elder Lihuo's fire palm is not very powerful. But Elder Agni is even more powerful. The difference between the spiritual god realm and the blue god realm. There seems to be an extremely mysterious Taoist charm of the fire in his fire palm. Even those who have cultivated to the extreme level of the great perfection of the spiritual god realm may not necessarily lose to Elder Lihuo if they use all the power of the great Dao. Under such circumstances, all red flames, just close to the golden shield. Elder Lihuo's face turned red. The mysterious Tao Yun can greatly strengthen the power of the fire palm. Elder Lihuo also saw it. Under such strengthening, for a while, some professors in the spiritual realm outside the fighting stage were also secretly surprised. Among the flames that filled the sky, not a single bit could harm Xiao Xian. He never thought that Xiao Xian would have time to comment on him. Is this not giving him any respect? Those extremely hot flames could not even harm a hair on Xiao Xian's head. It was directly torn apart by a burst of sword energy. Young man is arrogant. It all depends on whether there is a Taoist charm bonus in Taoism. At this moment, the professors of the spiritual god realm standing outside the fighting stage were also secretly surprised. They could all feel the extraordinary power of this fire palm. Under the pressure of flames. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 829. Then let's try it. Xiao Xian pulled out the serious sword and rushed directly towards Elder Lihuo in front of him. In the fierce flames, a white figure and a red figure, like swimming dragons, started fighting with each punch and sword. What shocked everyone? At this time, Xiao Xian was able to keep up with Elder Lihuo. Not to mention the gap in realm between the two, just saying that Elder Lihuo, as the dean of the Professor College, should stabilize the situation and unilaterally suppress Xiao Xian. This is what he should do. But judging from the current situation, Elder Lihuo's performance is indeed a bit unsatisfactory. Elder Lihuo actually had a back and forth fight with Xiao Xian. Impossible? Can Xiao Xian still defeat Elder Lihuo? Absolutely impossible. Elder Lihuo is the dean of the teaching college. How can a dean be inferior to the students? That's true, but the situation on the field doesn't seem to be like this. Fighting in the audience. All the professors and students were talking about it. They are not blind, and they can also roughly see the situation on the battlefield. Although, in their opinion, people like Elder Lihuo should be able to take down Xiaoxian casually. But the actual situation surprised them. Boom! Boom! On the battlefield, the fiery red flame palm technique and the pure gold sword energy collided with the strong wind, making a loud noise. Elder Lihuo and Xiaoxian took a few steps back at the same time. Their faces turned a little pale, and they were obviously shocked by the aftermath. But compared to Xiaoxian, Elder Lihuo's face became even more ugly. After all, being evenly matched was definitely not the situation he wanted. After a fight, he also discovered that the strength gap between himself and Xiaoxian was indeed not small. If you just want to use ordinary means, I'm afraid you really won't be able to defeat Xiaoxian. The damn thing. There are so many ways. Elder Lihuo was secretly annoyed. Do you really want to use the burning heaven technique? At the same time, a small blue-white flame appeared in his hand. The color of this flame was completely different from the red one before. But the energy contained in it is extremely terrifying. Elder Lihuo, if you have any means, use it quickly, Xiaoxian said with a smile, lest you get to the end. If you still can't use it, wouldn't it be too late to regret it? Snort. I have to say that you are the most talented disciple I have seen in these years. Elder Lihuo's mouth was ferocious, but the only pity is that you don't know how to restrain yourself, otherwise your future achievements will be even more amazing. Hear these words. Xiaoxian frowned slightly. For the old guy, Elder Lihuo. He still has some understanding. This old guy is very scheming, although his strength is not very strong at the level of the branch dean. But it also explains something more. If Elder Lihuo didn't have any means, how could he get the important position of professor of the college so easily? In this case, you still have some trump cards, so I have to be more careful. Xiaoxian smiled slightly. He knew that he had caused trouble to Elder Lihuo a lot before. If given the chance, Elder Lihuo would definitely not let him off easily. Moreover, now is the critical time for Tianyuan's baptism. It is indeed not worth wasting time on people like Elder Lihuo. That's all. Elder Lihuo didn't say much else. A trace of snow-white flame emerged from his hand, and this flame seemed to be contagious, spreading to other parts of the fighting platform. After this trace of white flame appeared, Xiaoxian's face instantly became serious. When the red flame appeared before, he didn't feel much. He could resist it just by relying on the power of the avenue. But now, when this trace of white flame appeared, he felt something was wrong. Although the white flame was weak, it looked like it could go out on its own at any time. Even the momentum is far inferior to the red flame. But only Xiaoxian, who was on the battlefield, could feel that this white flame was much more threatening to him than the red flame just now. For these white flames, Xiaoxian did not dare to neglect. The pure Yangwuji sword Dao was operating, and the power of the dragon body in his body was also operating to the extreme. Let me see. You old man, what kind of surprise can you bring me? Xiaoxian no longer hesitated, turned the heavenly wolf sword, and slashed straight at Elder Lihuo's neck. After the serious sword advanced twice in a row. At this moment, its level has reached the high level of Suanpin, and it is only a hair away from the earth level. Suanpin long sword plus small earth level swordsmanship. The power of the sword was enough to make Elder Lihuo feel the threat from above. Elder Lihuo also saw that Xiaoxian had used his true skills, and all the snow-white flames emerged. Fire Burning Heaven Technique. By Leng Guo. It can be regarded as a relatively mature Taoist technique that he uses. Boom. Use one portion and lose 1 point. Xiao Xian sneered. For a moment, he was actually restrained by the white flame. Something strange. Fire Lotus. Xiao Xian felt that as soon as his long sword came into contact with the white flames, the Tao power on the long sword was gradually eroded. Facing this weird bilinguo, Xiao Xian didn't dare to be lazy. He loosened his grip and threw away the serious sword. As Elder Lihuo roared. Moreover, Elder Lihuo seems to be very unfamiliar with using this white cold fire, and he doesn't have much understanding of it. It turns out that this is his real trump card. A white flame appeared again and hit Xiao Xian's chest directly. Flame Lotus. Xiao Xian quickly ran the Shenlong Kung Fu, intending to take back the serious sword. After feeling this power. Instead, this flame is more like a tool used by it. The Flame Lotus and the white cold fire collided. This bilinguo, is a wonderful thing in the world. You are only in the spiritual realm, so I'm afraid you are no match for it. This seems to be his chance. Then he crossed his hands. Who knows, that wonderful absorption power will gradually become stronger. The more power he uses, the more power the opponent will use. The white flame swelled up, like a white flower, and swept straight towards Xiao Xian's body. This time, I'll let you see whether your white flame is more powerful or my flame lotus. He vaguely felt that the bilinguo in Elder Lihuo's hand did not seem to be his own power. The Bethlehem fire burned. The fight just now. A huge flame fell from the sky above the professor's college like a rain of fire, causing a commotion near the fighting platform. Snort. What a sinister old guy. There was another loud noise. Elder Lihuo smiled ferociously. A dark red flame lotus also appeared. It's as if there is a power to absorb Tao power in this white flame. Boy! Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 830. The white flame is cold and terrifying. The red flame is strong and continuous. The collision of two flames with completely different properties simultaneously brought endless shock to the students present. They couldn't believe it. As a sword cultivator, Xiao Xian actually had an understanding of flames. What's even more incredible is that at this moment, Xiao Xian can actually bring such big trouble to Elder Lihuo by relying on his understanding of flames. Before, such a thing was simply unthinkable. Also surprised was Elder Lihuo, who was on the battlefield in the capital. In fact, Xiao Xian's premonition was correct. The bilinguo in his hand was indeed a spiritual flame that he got by chance. This flame grows in a pit of corpses. The essence of countless corpses condensed to form this terrifying-looking and highly corrosive flame. This kind of flame is extremely powerful. As long as it is contaminated on the body, it will corrode the opponent's power and body, which is very terrifying. There are many powerful people in the Blue God realm. They all suffered from Elder Lihuo's move. However, what Elder Lihuo never expected was that at this moment, Xiao Xian could actually understand the rhythm of the flames. Can the latter even fight with himself by relying on his own flame charm? On the rhyme of the flame path. Elder Lihuo, it seems you don't understand much. This time after a head-on collision. Xiao Xian also discovered some clues. It is said that Elder Lihuo majors in the way of flames. Although he is not very powerful in the Kengshen realm, if he makes a desperate move, he must use the way of flames. One force can bring down 10. Even he would have to suffer a lot. But now, Elder Lihuo is hesitant, as if he has any scruples about doing things. This really made Xiao Xian thoughtful. In this way, Elder Lihuo's understanding of the way of flames is really not that deep. So, doesn't he have no chance to defeat him? Think of this. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a little more excited on his face. At that time, although he accepted the challenge of Elder Lihuo. But in my heart, I just wanted to test Elder Lihuo's ability and see if I could fight him to a draw. Perhaps this can also prove that his previous training has achieved results. But now, seeing that Elder Lihuo's understanding of Tao Yun on the flame was just like that, he suddenly had some other ideas. It seems that this guy is not invincible? Then come and see. Let's see if you, the dean of the professors' college, have a vain reputation, or are you really capable? Xiao Xian sneered. The two hands touched lightly on the chest. Within the fingertips, a red-black flame lotus condensed again. The scorching temperature rose and slowly spread around the fighting platform. Under such power, Elder Lihuo on the opposite side couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. He didn't expect that. Xiao Xian turned out to be such a genius. As a sword cultivator, how can he have such an understanding of the way of flames? He had heard some rumors about Xiao Xian before. He heard that Xiao Xian seemed to have gained some understanding of the Taoism of thunder and lightning in the place where lightning struck. At first he didn't take it to heart. He only thought that this was a rumor. Xiao Xian was a sword cultivator and it was already very difficult to specialize in swordsmanship. How could he still have the ability to practice other natural ways? Isn't this a joke? What's more, thunder, lightning and flames are the way of nature. If human cultivators don't have good opportunities or family inheritance, they won't even be able to reach the threshold of entry. Elder Lihuo didn't take Xiao Xian seriously. Who knows now? Xiao Xian could actually show such a powerful flame background. Elder Lihuo was also surprised by these powers, with a look of uncertainty on his face, and the snow-white flames in his hands quickly condensed. Prepare to resist Xiao Xian's attack. But this time, Xiao Xian no longer tested, the power of the flame lotus was condensed to the extreme, and the delicate lotus directly hit Elder Lihuo's face. After the flame lotus was pushed out, his face also lost color in an instant, and his power also weakened. Obviously this move basically exhausted his strength. Give it to me, break it. Fire burning heaven technique. Elder Lihuo roared angrily. The snow-white flame rose again and collided with the flame lotus again. The strong flames collided, and the flames that burst out rose again. At the same time, Xiao Xian and Elder Lihuo also took a few steps back. Both of them had solemn expressions on their faces at the same time. A mouthful of blood spurted out from Elder Lihuo's mouth. He just took a deep look at Xiao Xian, looked down, and saw a huge blood mark on his chest that had been burned by the red and black flame lotus. His legs went weak and he fell to his knees. On the other hand, Xiao Xian, although he was also severely injured, at least he was still standing on the fighting stage. Victory and defeat are decided. At this moment, there was an instant silence on the fighting stage. Some of the professors who had previously supported Elder Lihuo were stunned and their eyes widened. It was like seeing a monster. They couldn't believe in their dreams that Xiao Xian, an ordinary professor at the professors' college, could defeat Elder Lihuo at this time. This really surprised them. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Elder Lihuo was defeated. It wasn't until a disciple said this in a dry voice that several disciples hurried forward and surrounded Elder Lihuo. Sent to the healing elder of the sect. Long Ruoxiu was equally surprised. She also walked to Xiao Xian, only to see that the latter's face was also pale. Apparently there was a fight just now. It also made him consume almost all the power of the avenue in his body. Now, Xiao Xian is at the end of his strength. Why are you working so hard? Long Ruoxiu complained on her lips, but was very moved in her heart. She quickly took out a pill and handed it to Xiao Xian. Feel the rich energy in the elixir. Xiao Xian did not hesitate and swallowed it in one gulp. The pure energy in the elixir radiated out, which also restored his exhausted body a little. Thank you very much, Xiao Xian said. I should be the one to thank you. Long Ruoxiu felt a little guilty. I'm sorry, I didn't expect Elder Lihuo to be so shameless and would take action against you personally. It doesn't matter. Although it was unexpected, it also allowed me to test his power. Although Xiao Xian's body was exhausted, he still had a little smile on his face. It seems that this elderly Huo is not invincible, and the strong man in the blue god realm is nothing more than that. Say it. Long Ruoxia couldn't help but look at him twice. If someone else said this, Long Ruoxia might think that this person was too arrogant, but it was different now. Xiao Xian had just defeated elderly Huo. It seems that he is indeed qualified to speak like this.